porn into Google. When I was writing my book, I was looking for softcore. It took me half an hour. Will you please tell me what 11-and-a-half-year-old boy, when he puts porn into Google, is going to come up? Right? You go in half an hour, he's going to look. So let me explain what they are by their acts. The standard act in every gonzo, to begin with, is gagging. This is where the penis is so far down the throat that it activates her gag reflex. She is choking. The tears are streaming down her face, and to make things worse, they often hold her nose. As she begins to pull away because she's choking, they grab her hair and pull her closer to the penis. She is literally choking. It gets my gag reflex going just listening to her. That is the standard one. The second one is very, very rough anal sex. Now, in pornography, anal sex is to deliver to her just what a slut she really is. It is pounding to the degree that one of the real problems with women in pornography is that they have anal prolapses. Basically, the anuses have to be sewn back up. The average shelf life of a woman in pornography is 3 months because she simply cannot tolerate the damage to her body. The average film in pornography, gonzo, is 1 woman and anything from 3 to 4 to 5 men. She has oral, anal, vaginal penetration going on at the same time, pounding away at her orifices. As they are doing this, they are spitting in her face, they are pulling her hair, they are calling her names, and then the final shot is basically ejaculation all over her body. When you watch this film, you see at the end of it, she just doesn't know what to do with herself. She is absolutely exhausted. She just doesn't know what to do with herself. She lies there covered in ejaculate. That's when you have empathy and you look at that. So, people say that those of us who are anti-pornography, we cherry pick the words, that somehow we spend hours looking for the words. Well, let me tell you, that is an absolute and complete lie. The most comprehensive, peer-reviewed, empirical study on the content of porn was produced by Anna Bridges and her team in Violence Against Women Journal, and in it they found that over 90% of scenes in the best-selling porn videos and films had verbal, sexual, and physical aggression against the woman. So when you hear people say we cherry pick and we're exaggerating, empirical data is on our side. Now, let's talk about what we're going to do about this. I also want to talk about actually Google Trends. I think we've gone too back. Go back. Okay. Right, let's talk about where it's all going. So the problem now is we have an issue. The issue is that we've desensitized many of the men who use a lot of porn. Okay? They're bored. And there's a statement by Jules Jordan, who is actually a very, very hardcore gonzo porn producer, who said, we're running out of ideas. And I'll tell you that's true because there's virtually nothing left to do to the woman on the screen short of killing her. So what are we going to do now? Well, here's a hit. In 2003, Ashcroft versus the Free Speech Coalition. Now, the Free Speech Coalition is the lobbying arm of the porn industry. Now, why is it important in England? It's important because most of the pornography that English men consume comes from the United States. So what happens in America happens here. You should also realize that a small group of predatory capitalists living in Los Angeles producing pornography are actually determining the sexual template of the Western world. Talk about sexual colonization by the United States of America, right? And you wouldn't want these guys near anyone, right? Let alone training your children into their sexual template. So in 2002 Ashcroft decision, the Free Speech Coalition, which is the lobbying arm of the porn industry, lobbied Ashcroft Court and said the 1996 Child Pornography Protection Act was too limiting. Why? Because it said that you couldn't use women who looked under 18. It limited the free speech rights of the pornographers. They wanted to use women who looked under 18. The Ashcroft Court agreed, and that exploded this thing called teen porn. We now know from PornMD, which is a site, is that teen porn is the second largest search in America. Now, also we know from other statistics is that when you go to Google Trends, which is a search engine which allows you to look at searches, we know that teen porn has increased over 215% since the Ashcroft Court. So I'm going to say that again. Searches for teen porn, which is the biggest, most important, biggest search in the world, I would say today, has increased 215%. The next search, large search, go back please, MILF, Mothers I Like to Fuck, which is another very big area. Oh, sorry. Okay, you have to bleep that out. That's gone down. So I just want you to get a sense of what those statistics say. Teen porn, the biggest single search. Next one. You want numbers? Approximately 500 million searches for teen porn every day. Compare that to MILF, which is less than 300,000. So now, the most searched, most looked at porn is teen porn. Carry on. Now, we're not finished. I just testified last week in a case in Virginia, in Philadelphia, in federal court. Case in the Free Speech Coalition for the Porn Industry versus Eric Calder. The case is against 2257. 2257 is the law in the United States of America that says that all pornography producers and secondary producers have to have on file documentation that the actual performers are 18 and above. The pornographers are saying that this is too burdensome on their free speech rights. They want to get rid of all age verification. Right? And we're not going to know how that goes till July when the judge rules. But just think about something. Just think what the pornographers want. They want to get rid of age verification. Why? Okay, what do you think they are opening the doors up for next? When you open up the doors for teen porn and child porn, but specifically legal child porn, what you do is you sexualize images of girls, and therefore you normalize adult child sexual contact. You erode the societal norms against child sexual abuse. Legal teen porn acts as a bridge to real child pornography. It provides a pseudo-community for pedophiles and non-pedophiles, and it provides abusers with grooming images. So the question is, next, what are we going to do about this? The only answer to this is a public health approach. This genie is not going into that bottle again unless we all get together. This is not an individual problem. Asking a family to deal with the porn use of their child is like telling them that their children should not be basically breathing in pollution. It is a collective social issue. And as a society, we all have a compelling interest in the well-being of the next generation. A public health issue means you bring together educators, medical professionals, community leaders, parents, lawyers, youth workers, therapists, and activists. I just came back from Virginia where we got a CDC grant, the Centers for Disease Control, to start looking into how to develop a public health campaign. So we are starting to do that in America. We have a group in America called Stop Porn Culture. We are building curriculum, we are building certain types of different slideshows which you can access for free. We have tons and tons of different types of resources up there, and by the end of the summer we're going to have slideshows for parents, for teachers, etc., all of which you can download for free. And I'm going to end by saying this. If we continue to abdicate responsibility as adults, if we continue to let the pornographers come in and hijack our sexuality and our children's sexuality, then what kind of world do you think we're going to live in? Because these boys, they are going to be the politicians of tomorrow, the lawyers of tomorrow, the doctors of tomorrow, the parents of tomorrow, the husbands of tomorrow. What kind of men do you think they are going to be? And what kind of world do you think women are going to live in and our daughters are going to live in? So I think it's about time us as adults did not throw the children into this world and expect them to swim or sink by themselves, and that we do what is correct, and that is we take responsibility as adults for the well-being and the collective well-being, because my child's well-being is completely connected to your child's well-being. So I hope that you will join us with Stop Porn Culture and with Eleanor and with all of what we're trying to do to say to the government that if you are serious, that you want a healthy, functioning society with healthy, functioning children, then you're going to have to put your money where your mouth is and develop a public health campaign. Thank you.